Have you ever quit a job without another lined up for you mental health? How did it turn out? Yes, I had a job that I loved, had co-workers I loved, I'm still friends with some. Ownership changed. My job that was a MF 9-5 somehow turned into on-call all the time. My workload was always heavy, got added onto. I would say no to additional workload. It somehow still ended up on my plate. Somewhere around a year after the ownership change, I found myself googling heart attack and mental breakdown symptoms because I knew something wasn't right. I finally walked into work one day and handed in my notice. No job lined up. Didn't think it through. I wrote up my notice 5 minutes before I left for work that day. Due to bills, I ended up taking a job I was overqualified for and made crap for pay. But after a few months I got hired to where I am now. I do the same type of job as the one I walked away from. Did it work out for me? I'd like to say yes, but only time will tell. I will say both myself and my family are much happier right now. And I haven't wondered if I'm having a mental breakdown or possible heart attack since I left. That's a win. Being on call 24/7 really takes a toll on you. My job in clinical psych abruptly gave us an on-call and my mental health tanked after that. Got burnt out and quit after Bull's management changes. Luckily I saved up a good amount of money to do whatever I wanted for about 4 months until I finally felt the need to better myself and move on with my life. Got another job that was safer than my last and went back to school to further my degree. It was a much needed break. Don't regret it one bit. Yes, I quit a very high paying job. In fact, I was a software engineer. It was great at first. I liked my co-workers, and the company was one of those startups that had a ping pong table and cold brew coffee on tap and all that jazz. It was my first job out of college and I was dazzled by the cool community feel and all the amenities. However, they had no system in place to train me. I was basically expected to just read the codebase and just instantly know exactly what to do. My team leader couldn't answer my questions, and I quickly started drowning in work. My once recreational drug use turned habitual. I was railing lines of coke in the bathroom to stay awake because I stayed until 9 PM trying to finish projects by the deadline and doing benzos at night to fall asleep. Once I finally started performing well, that only reinforced my terrible habits. I thought that if I stopped self-medicating, I would fall behind and they would fire me. I cried every day. I was also the only female employee on the software team, and I got these paranoid thoughts in my head that my male co-workers didn't really like me. In retrospect, I'm sure my alienation was totally my fault and a result of my anxiety. I didn't even like the programming anymore. When I was in college, I interned with people who were using software to help charities, uncover bogus statistics, and generally lift up communities. My job was nothing like that. The people there acted like they were curing cancer, but the majority of what we did boiled down to helping huge companies build training platforms that were more hip and cool. So I quit. Not just that job, but the whole field. I had started abusing harder drugs as well, and I knew I was going to end up killing myself. I went to rehab, and then I went back to school and got my master's degree in education with a focus in mathematics. I'm a private tutor and a substitute teacher now. I hope to get my PhD one day, but for now I am happy helping young people realize their dreams. I set my own schedule so that I'm able to pursue my passions, volunteering at a children's hospital tutoring sick kids that need to miss school, and helping young women from local battered women's shelters and homeless shelters learn graphic design and programming so that they can have valuable marketable job skills. I'm 2 years clean from drugs and I have the most wonderful friends and a perfect kitty. I am so happy I quit my job, even though people thought I was insane for leaving the tech field, and I'm sure my mom's friends talked crap about me behind her back. I'm glad I didn't pay them any mind. This is the one I'm going to end with because it made me the happiest. You are amazing for turning your life around in a way to help others. Also, your old job sounded exactly like the place I was about to apply to out of desperation. Hard pass. Yeah, I had been overworked and underpaid, and underappreciated, at a small resort for months. Tempers flared and I was given an ultimatum. I chose to walk out the door in the middle of the busy season. The next night I went to a bar and saw another resort owner and friend saying goodbye to his only employee. He typically had 2-3. I walked up after and the conversation went like this. Me. That sucks. Do you have anything else lined up? Him. Nope. I've got nothing. Me. Do you need somebody to help? Him. Do you need a job? Me. Yup. As of yesterday. Him. Show up tomorrow whenever you want and you've got the job. The rest of the summer I ran his cafe shop. I had 7 years of cooking and 2 years retail management experience and he ran the outfitter. The first day after showing me around the kitchen he had to go attend to something. When he came back I had 20 people already eating and I was chatting them up and cleaning. He looked around and goes, well, you're getting a raise. The rest of the summer was great. I quit my job of a year and a half out of anger and spite for my manager, and because of my quickly declining mental health. While it helped at first, the anxiety of not having a steady source of income took a much larger toll on me than anticipated and I really didn't get to focus on my recovery therapy for my mental health until I had secured a new job to quell my anxieties. Radio Shack. I worked there for about 3 months. They paid minimum wage and commission, and the only ways to earn commissions was pushing useless extended warranties or cell phones. And we had to push batteries, like AA and AAA batteries. We were expected to get so many of these things every so many customers. Batteries were like 1 out of every 10 customers. I got a headache every time I walked in for a shift, knowing I had to push this crap on people. The major turning point for me was when my manager, who was just an arrogant little man who was built like Danny DeVito with John C. Reilly's face, butted into a transaction of mine. The customer was a special needs man who was buying an upconvert DVD player. It didn't feel right to push the extras on this man, considering the circumstances. My boss saw this and forcibly took over the transaction and talked this poor man into buying extra cables and disc cleaner and warranties for everything he could. What should have been a roughly $50 purchase for this man ended costing him close to $100 when all was said and done. The cherry on top was when the man left. Manager printed a copy of his receipt, shoved up in my face and proceeded to brag about it. I quit a few weeks later. Luckily, I was able to go back to my old job for a while I looked for a permanent job. I ended up going back to school about a year or so later. I worked there for 6 months. The upselling was ridiculous. I hated it. Push the credit card. Push the protection plans. Push the batteries. They dug their own grave with their policies, honestly. Left my job of 15 years with nothing lined up because it was gaining me nothing anymore aside from being overused for my job knowledge with no reward. Took a month off. Found another job that pays me more per hour than my last after I got promoted to supervisor after putting in 5 months. Couldn't be happier. Heck yeah, know your worth, king queen. I got bored of my life in the UK and sick of my job, so I quit and got a one-way ticket to Australia to start a new life. Quit my job at a call center without anything lined up. I used to cry in my car before a shift, used up all my sick days, and it worsened my suicidal thoughts, so I got myself out of there when I couldn't take it anymore. I quietly stood up from my desk and quit on the spot. I had never walked out on a job before. Took me a month to find another job with just slightly less hours, so a little less money, but it was worth it because I'm a lot better mentally and physically, and I like the job. Sometimes you just gotta do what you gotta do. Worked a call center job after 1 week of training and 2 days of actual work. During the training you're shown how it's not possible to order a free trial of these expensive products without seeing the clearly marked, in multiple locations, terms and conditions. But then I got to the floor and these people were old people who were offered a free gift when they bought something on Amazon. They never went to a website and ordered a free trial. They were lied to and then charged $80 plus 3 weeks later. It was a scam built to prey on old people. I had a panic attack on the way to work and quit when I arrived. Frick that noise. Heck yes. I worked in a retail store that was farming based, but had the political atmosphere of Game of Thrones. Everyone hated each other and constantly tried to undermine one another. If you were talking to someone that someone else didn't like, it was known across the store, and suddenly, people would stop talking to you. As in, you would stand there and ask a question, and they would turn their back on you. I got zero training, got promoted to zone manager, more work with no extra pay, and then injured my foot falling off of one of their rickety wooden ladders. This caused everyone to turn on me because the store had to file a workman's comp claim, so they missed out on the annual reward, a visit to the Golden Corral buffet in January. Anyway, after about 2 weeks of mind-numbing boredom and having everyone staring daggers at me while I tried to figure out what the heck I was supposed to be doing, I just quit. Didn't give notice, just left my badge and vest there and went to lunch and never came back. It took me a few months to find another job, but at least I was no longer alternating between openly weeping and feeling physically nauseous. Imagine being that emotionally invested in an annual trip to Golden Corral. That's how you know you have nothing left. Yep, my mental health is still not good, and now I'm broke. Turns out the money I made from said terrible job was the only thing keeping my mental health above water, lol. I quit after an argument with my boss because I didn't agree with how he did things. Within 2 months I started my own company doing what he did but the way I thought it should be done. I am still running that business and he shut his down 3 years ago. Pro revenge there. The best revenge is living good. Congrats on your successful business. I quit a job working as a logistics manager for a hospital. It was the worst job I ever had. The union reps would constantly mess with you, taunting you and try to get you fired. I was constantly on edge and would basically snap over everything. I developed a huge persecution complex where everyone was out to get me. They would purposely feed you false information that would go against required practices. For example, one of the reps gave me a fake forecast for products we needed for the upcoming week, so I was to arrange the delivery, ordering and storing for the products. When I ordered it all and had it delivered, I found out we needed like 1/10th of the products that was ordered. So I had to explain to the finance department why we exceeded our weekly budget. Basically my choices were be fired or quit because of the colossal frick up. I was 21 at the time. I'm now in school to get my bachelor's of accounting. So I guess it turned out pretty good because I could leave that horrible industry. Oh yes, I had a good job at a college. I felt so lucky to get it, administration, but it turned out that all the employees, staff and faculty were backstabbers who set you up for failure. I think it's just the way academia runs, but I didn't know that. I stuck it out for nearly 7 years and started having suicidal thoughts. Once I realized I was going a little crazy, I gave my notice and quit without a net. I never got over it, though. I've had a lot of rough jobs, but that was the absolute worst. I quit my job when my partner died unexpectedly. We lived with their parents and I couldn't return living there after they passed. So I stayed at a friend's mom's place while they visited family out of town. I had paid a deposit on my phone due to bad credit and after 6 months I'd get it back, which kept my phone alive during that time. Lived off of $1,000 for 3 months. I drank a lot and it was a bad time. At the end I ended up moving in with a friend. We shared a bedroom till I could afford my own place. My first day of my new job I had no money for food, but a friend worked at a bakery so I had a whole pie for my lunch. Everyone thought I just really liked pie. My partner's old boss ended up giving me $300 to live off of while I waited for my first paycheck. It was the longest I hadn't worked since I was 16. Got banned from Whole Foods for a year for shoplifting food. Cried on public transit a lot. Been at the job for 4 years now and am doing good. Glad you recovered from that. Sad it got so far. Terrible circumstances as well. I hope you're mentally good as well. I got fired when I had a breakdown, if that counts. Took me 12 months to get another job, and it's kinda obvious on my CV that something happened that ended in my contract being terminated. In this boat at the moment. Got let go from my job due to my mental health a month ago. I haven't really applied for anything new because my health is still in such a state that I know if I did get a new job right now, it'd probably go the same way. But man, that inevitable, glaringly obvious gap on my CV when I do start applying for things terrifies me. I fell further into depression. Developed a drinking problem, spent all my savings and didn't work for nearly 2 years. Yeah, not doing that again. I hope you're doing better, buddy. I did this in a shorter scale, ended up with nothing. Today I got offered a manager position in a company I've been working for less than 3 months. I hope things got better for you. I worked for an insurance company for 6 years. Was fun at first, then went through a divorce and all 5 years and stopped caring. So I quit. Cashed out my 401k and drove from Indiana down to Key West and got freaking trashed for a week. Then traveled to various states and just hung out and did what the frick ever. Lasted 3 months and then went back to Indiana and then went to work for a different insurance company. I don't regret it. It was healing and uplifting and met some cool people along the way. Nice to see you happy and great job on recovering from all that. Yep, left a job I'd held for 3 years and moved towns. I've struggled to find more long-term employment in my new town, but I'm happier and far healthier. I went from spending nearly 50 hours a week at my desk to having plenty of time for myself to get outdoors. I love the sun, and I was just a really depressed, sad little mushroom at my old job, kept in the dark and fed on crap. It's been just over a year. I'm 20 kgs lighter. Have just found another casual job, and even though my employment isn't steady, I'm loving life. I was a mailman for about a year. Thought I'd give it a shot since my dad did it for almost 40 and I figured it'd help me understand him better. Best money I'd ever made. Starting pay was something like 16 and some change an hour, especially with OT. But I was miserable. Just freaking miserable. My commute was 45 minutes in clear traffic, but if I didn't finish my crap in time and I hit rush hour, the commute could be up to 2 hours. I'd leave when it was still dark, get home when it was just about dark again, have just enough time to eat an absolute shitload of food. Walking 10 plus miles a day is sort of a double-edged bleed, then go to bed and do it again, and again, and again, Sundays included. Thanks, Amazon. When I got sunburn and frostbite on the same day, my thick head finally realized the money wasn't worth it. My wallet was full, but I was freaking bankrupt when it came to emotional or creative energy. TLDR. Money isn't worth it if you're too miserable to spend it. Ah frick, I loved it. I loved every second of it. I was termed for an accident on my 77th day, 3 days from probation ending. I can't wait to go back, but partially because I was too busy to notice my depression anxiety. Sorry you had a bad experience, man. No, but I think about it every single day. Ain't that the freaking truth? Same opportunity at half pay comes along and I'm out. When the mission is a lie and the expectations are unrealistic and the appreciation is non-existent, it's really difficult to keep finding new answers to the ever-nagging why. I just did this on the 31st of May. Never been happier, though it is only 2 weeks now. Greg was a total butthole as a boss. I was shunned and ostracized. Set up to fail. No matter what I did, I got no credit. Greg took it all, but I got all of the blame. Frick you, Greg. Quitting was the best thing I did. I am taking the summer off and then will look for more work. I am experienced IT professional, but I would rather be a greeter at Walmart than work in those conditions. Did I say frick you, Greg? Just checking. Your health, mental and physical, is way more important long term. I worked at a daycare that promoted physical, mental and physical abuse as child control, as well as underfeeding to reduce food cost. In a low-income area where these might be some of the kids' only meals, I awoke physically ill, puking before work daily. One day I went on lunch break, had a panic attack on the way, and a co-worker calmed me down and I never went back. They asked me to come in to discuss why I quit. I told them unless I am legally required, I am never coming back again. I did try to report them 3 times and the inspector came and walked out with coffee and a nothing to see here check. I got another job shortly after, so it worked out. The chain of daycares is under new management now. I did. I was an elementary school teacher. It was a terrible fit for me, but I gave it my best shot for 3.5 years. I had no support. The kids were terrible to me. I never had enough time to do anything and was exhausted. I would go home crying every night. Cry all day Sunday. I was loaded up on all sorts of mental health medication. Just a very bleak time. The day I quit, it was right before Christmas vacation and I was teaching kindergarten. I absolutely could not control the class and they were hanging off the ceiling. The Booking.com commercial with the teacher whose kids were running amok. That was me. Every day was like this. Every day was a fight with them. I just sat in the rocking chair trying to figure out what I was going to do and I just gave up. I asked one of the students to go get the aide from next door and asked her to watch the class for a second. I went to the principal's office, dropped my keys on her desk, and told her I wasn't coming back. Told her she could keep all my stuff. Find a sub. I'm out. Went back to the classroom, grabbed my purse and wedding picture off the desk and was out. We just bought a new house, so I should have been freaking out. However, the car ride home was the most liberating experience of my life. I wasn't even worried. I called my husband to tell him what I had done, and to my surprise, he was very supportive. I think he was just glad it was all over. A few weeks later, the union tried to get me to rescind my resignation, but I absolutely wasn't having it. It took me 9 long months to find another job. I had to put my student loans in deferment and cash out my tiny teacher pension to survive. But I waited for the perfect opportunity and I found it. The job I took was a perfect fit for me and was just what I needed at that time to rebuild my damaged confidence. That new career that changed my life for the better in so many ways. I'm fiercely loyal to that job and company because I truly believe that it saved my life. Walking out of there that day was the best thing I ever did. I have never ever regretted it. No matter what. It's just a job. It's not worth any of what I put myself and my family through. You have been spotted by the money pigeon. Comment gimme and he will bless you with good fortune. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day you magnificent people.